Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, Internet Land, or Podcast Land, if you just happen to be listening to this on iTunes. Welcome to AfterBuzz TV's Spotlight On. This is part of our ongoing interview series where we talk to upcoming artists and musicians of all stripes and get to know a little bit about their process and their projects and just a little bit about being an artist today. My name is Josh Richmond. You can find me at Radio TFB on Twitter. Don't forget to go to AfterBuzz's website, subscribe to us on iTunes, go to us on YouTube, like us on SoundCloud. Just click all over our various internet properties. Please, your clicks help us out a lot and your reviews help us out a lot. I'm here today with a really, really exciting band out of Williamsburg, Brooklyn. That's correct, right, guys?
Well, yeah, we're all
mostly,
living...
or you guys might be more scattered around.
Yeah, maybe like 10 years ago it was Williamsburg, but now we're scattered around Brooklyn, and I'm currently living in Pittsburgh.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. But still, okay, West Coast, everything on the East Coast just is. It blurs together for me.
It's all right. It's all cold right now.
But you got to hear a little bit of the single they just released, Super 8, as we were coming in. So Superhuman Happiness. Right?
Yeah,
guys, welcome to
That's
AfterBuzz.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
You guys were able to make it because you're on like a West Coast tour right now, right?
That's right. It's our first trip up the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah. Where'd you guys just come from?
We were just in Oakland playing in our friend Eli's warehouse.
Very
He
nice.
has a warehouse space that he's built everything from speaker cabinets to like structures for houses. So we partied and we
Man,
had
that's
a
how you
nice,
got to do it now.
there.
Is like DIY, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So much
yeah.
better.
Well, you know, I think anybody that came up playing live music or DJing, or you start out in parties in people's basements or people's backyards,
Right.
or parking lots, and you get to a point in your career where you're like, wait, that was really fun. What
Right.
happened to that? So
Right, you might
yeah.
find yourself playing more kind of conventional stages and realize
Yeah.
you miss that initial energy and being able to really connect with the audience.
Yeah, so we got that going last night. Our friend's band played, another band played. We hung out. There were dogs running around, and everybody brought a six-pack. Or
I got a lot of memories of shows like that. Those are the best.
yeah, it was wonderful.
Great, guys. So we just listened to a little bit of Super 8. We couldn't hear it because we don't have headphones on, but the fans were hearing it. So you guys, did you just release that on Noisy? That was released through Vice? Was that released?
Well, the record label is called Royal Potato Family.
Okay.
And it's a record label that we're on with a bunch of other great artists.
Great.
And the Vice, Noisy, put it out.
Right, Noisy. That's the
Yeah,
kind of the music arm of Vice these days.
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah. So they, what's the word? They premiered it for us.
It's a great track. I was just listening to it on the way over. It's it's got that like it's such a distinctive rhythm it opens with. I've noticed a lot of your stuff is very kind of distinctively rhythmic, and then opens up to that wordless chorus, which is great. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I think it's important for songs. You know, songs have like a melodic shape.
Oh,
right?
sure.
That's consistent, like a certain melodic pattern, and they have rhythmic patterns as well. And if you adhere to kind of the consistency of those motives, then your song has a coherence. So rhythm, melody.
The
There you go.
basic building blocks, right?
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
So I should ask you guys, who are each of you guys? Because the voice you're hearing right now, you are Stuart, right?
That's
Stuart,
right.
Stuart Bogey?
That's me.
Yeah, and kind of the fair to call you like the band leader or front, or not necessarily front person, because I don't think you're the main vocalist anymore.
Yeah, no, we share a lot of the duties, and I'm kind of like the head cheerleader.
There you go. Kind of like your
Yeah.
job is kind of like to, propel the band forward and get everybody like, we can do it, work together.
I suppose so, but they take care of a lot of that too. I could be depressed, though. We're a family.
Like the best bands, And so yeah, let's who can we hear from the rest of you guys?
My name's Eric Biondo. I play the bass synth and the trumpet and sing as we all share.
You guys all share, I think, a lot of these duties.
Yeah, it's sort of like a musical chairs in a lot of ways on the performance on the stage. You know,
We don't share his trumpet though.
we don't share trumpet. We don't
Or
share.
at the very least, you got to like trade out mouthpieces before doing that, right?
Nobody shares.
Does anybody have any hand sanitizer? You know what I mean?
A lot of Purell going around.
Yeah, we have only hand sanitizers on the rider.
Awesome. And how about you?
Hi, I'm Andrea, and I sing and play tambourine.
Great.
Up on the drums.
And you joined the group fairly recently, right?
Yeah, fairly recently, but it feels like, a while. So in a really good way, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think the best bands, you feel like you just connect with them right away. Those kind of collaborative partnerships.
Yeah, well, it's really sweet. I think somebody mentioned this yesterday at the show. They're like, "Oh, it's so nice when you guys are on stage because it really feels like you're together. Like you get the sense that you're friends and that you actually care about each other outside of this project." Or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, it's nice.
Awesome. And then we also have Sam here.
I'm Sam Levin. I'm the drummer.
Cool.
I collect the receipts.
almost as important as the drumming. It's making
Right.
sure all the receipts are taken care
Yep.
of. So I read something in your guys' bio saying that you said that you auditioned the drummer unbeknownst to him, quote unquote. What does that mean?
Oh yeah, well,
That's not-
we started out with a jam session.
Okay.
Like, oh yeah, you want to come out? You want to hang out, jam? We'll just go over some songs, and then we're like, hey, you want to join our band? So it wasn't like, I guess what we meant to say is that it's kind of informal.
Right. Not necessarily that you're like, okay,
Yeah.
we've got this plan where we're going to trick him into joining our band somehow.
No, but there's other plans to trick him into joining the band. I promised him.
It's very
a
mafia
retainer.
the way we operate.
I had a feeling.
You did tell me that you were looking for a drummer.
That's true.
Now you're trying to trick me into other
Backpedaling. How am I
things.
doing?
Yeah. If you were really trying to be Machiavelli, you would have hit that from the beginning.
Yeah, I'm a terrible Machiavelli. I'm no Caesar Borgia. I think he might have been terrible too.
I think he wasn't great at it either.
Right.
It's hard to be Machiavelli. Only Machiavelli can be Machiavelli, you know. He invented it.
He was the OG.
He literally was.
The OM.
The
Did he
ONM.
actually do anything? He was just talking about it a lot. I mean,
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't actually think he was that power hungry in real life. He was just like really good at analyzing power dynamics. So I'm going to write a book about it. Kind of his thing.
Yeah.
So let's hear a little bit about how you guys got started with music, because this is always something that really strokes my curiosity. Like, were all you guys like musical kids, or when did you start picking up an instrument or deciding music was something you really wanted to pursue?
I was probably 8 or 9, and the trumpet was thrust upon me by my school band director. I didn't want to play it, 'cause
Right.
I wanted to play the drums like all kids, you know.
Drums or
And-
guitar are often people's go-to.
Yeah, I know. It was like, and then the band director says that I had nice lips, you know.
And you're like, and you're like, either he's flirting with me or he's trying to signal that he might be good at a certain
Well, it was a
instrument.
female.
Okay, either she's flirting with you.
And so, I was like, I tried it, and then I don't know, there was something, I didn't like it, but I had like a little bit of promise with it, and then there was a period where I played the baritone horn, which was like more depressing, because it's like this big thing that's just totally not sexy like the trumpet is, you know what I mean?
Right.
The trumpet's very sexy. And I sort of forced my way through like many years of like, playing this instrument that I was sort of like hot and cold with, because the trumpet's very hot and cold. You always have to like buzz your lips and
It's something, yeah, it's something that seems like it's not like as intuitively easy to pick up as something like drums or guitar. You really have to devote a lot of time before even being able to get any sort of good sound out of it.
Yeah, it's like a guitar. You go, bing, okay,
Right.
got a note.
Right.
And the trumpet's like,
Take some time.
if this microphone was alive, it would sound like that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like a bee. Anyway, but so anyway, so that's how I started. My dad's a musician. He's a guitar player, bass player, and we never really like collaborated till we were later in life. But he was always playing the same licks on the guitar every night, and I was like, why are you doing that? And now I realize that you keep playing the same licks over and over again until you get them good.
That's what being
So-
a musician is.
Yeah.
It's just repeating it.
It was in the family.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So how about you, Andrea?
I started singing when I was younger. My dad actually heard me singing along with The Little Mermaid when I was a kid, and he was like, "Oh, is this like?" Because he's completely tone deaf, so he was like amazed that I had any semblance.
How
of...
did this come out as something I created?
Yeah. So he was like, "Oh, you should." He kept trying to convince me to take voice classes, and I remember I really didn't want to. I was like, I don't know. Like I was always a shy kid, and the prospect of like performing or doing anything like that seemed totally like antithetical to me.
Right.
But I did, and it was amazing, and it just totally opened up my love of singing and performing, and I basically started that when I was 9
and just kept going with it. So throughout middle school, high school, were you ever like playing in bands, or was it a lot of like solo performance?
Did a lot of open mics in high school.
Oh, cool.
Super cool.
That is cool to be in high school and already doing the open mic scene. It's pretty
it was
precocious.
definitely fun.
Yeah.
And like when I was part of this vocal studio, we would do live performances, and it was like really kind of a big production. So that was great. And then I started playing more in bands when I went to New York and went there for school, and that's sort of what my life has been.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then Stuart, I know you. So you were. Yeah. Is saxophone your main instrument? Is that right?
I've been playing a lot of saxophone, but I started out on clarinet.
There you go.
And I thought that I don't think I had a grasp on the difference. And at the time, Sheila E. had a video out. And in the video, there was a guy, and he had like long hair and a long earring, and he was playing a soprano sax. I thought it was a clarinet. So when it came time to sign up, I was like, a clarinet.
Clarinet. I saw that once. That's the ticket.
Yeah, and it wasn't. The next thing I know, everybody's like, so you want to be like Benny Goodman? I was like, who's that? I had to find out. And
go back, do your research. And then,
it wasn't until I was 25 that I picked up the saxophone again.
Gotcha.
So, and I played a lot.
Cool. That's awesome. And then what about you? Getting into drumming?
I don't know. I started playing drums when I was 10 and played in the school band.
I think that's how it is for a lot of people. I wish I had a school band in my school. We didn't even have that as an option.
What?
Yeah,
really
I know.
sad.
I know.
I feel like more and more that's the standard too, which is
they just cut arts funding and education so much.
Yeah.
Who knows how many young musicians are just kind of missing that outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But
our cultural heritage depends on that.
Yeah, God, 100%. We can't all be STEM majors. We need creative people in society.
Yeah. And STEM is fed by music. That helps you clarify your thought and all kinds of things.
I think that Bach did you ever read like Gödel, Escher, Bach, or they say music and math are so intertwined, and there's so much math in music.
Oh yeah.
I should talk to Sam about that.
Is that something you're particularly interested in?
Yeah, I'm interested in math.
Cool. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's
I love it.
Shameful about being into math.
No, but what other subject can teach you so many different subjects all at once?
Right.
Music, right?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say math.
History, math.
Math is behind everything, man. Yeah.
Music won't teach you math, though. Normal math teach you music.
You clearly never watched Schoolhouse Rock. 3 is the magic. I didn't know 3 was the magic number until I watched Schoolhouse Rock. Music taught me everything.
Well, if that's where you stop with math.
What is the number after 3? I've always wanted to know. Maybe you can help me out with
I
that.
can't tell you that.
All right, fine. But then how did you guys all hook up with each other? Once you guys all got started playing on your own?
Tinder.
Of course, I figured, right?
Craigslist.
There's a group. There's a musicians group on Tinder that you can hit. You meet 3 or 4 people at a time.
Thrinder.
I'm waiting to find that. I gotta keep swiping right, man.
It's like a secret door that you can slide into with the Tinder.
Yeah.
Man,
anything can happen.
Musician's code. I need to know.
Me and Eric. The truth is, me and Eric have been writing music for a while.
All right.
And we've had the band around for a while and kind of worked in different incarnations. And we hit a point where it was time to rebuild. And I was talking to a friend. I was on tour with another band as a sideman, and we were sitting outside the tour bus, and then all of a sudden it occurred to me to call this woman, Andrea, who I'd seen sing before, and who another friend of ours, Alex, had recommended I get in touch with. And I called her up that day, and I said, I didn't say, do you want to join the band? But what I'm thinking is just join the band. I hadn't even.
You can't lead with that. That's coming out a little bit strong.
Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of felt it out and talked to her, and it turns out that day there was some serendipity there, and that certain doors of hers might have been starting to close, and new creative ones were opening up.
That's perfect. And then you joining, and then that's kind of that that magic element that puts the sound together.
Yeah. And before that, we had only had male vocals,
right?
Sing the leads, and so when you bring in like a female protagonist, a whole new sense of balance and meaning started coming out in songs. Like all of a sudden, it didn't seem male specific. It seemed more like there was like a whole human thing that was there because we're both kind of in on the expressive angles.
I did hear on Super 8 there's kind of a male female like vocal interplay, almost very Human League. Kind of a
got that right.
Yeah. Is there a lot of like 80s pop influence in the stuff you do at all, or?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, without saying my age, I did have Human League records, and they had just come out, and they inspired my little butt to dance around the living room. So, yeah, I think that just gets in. That's automatic.
Right.
Anything you hear before you're like, maybe 15 or 16, you just start to digest it, and it just comes out as creative language.
Completely. No, I think so much of your musical preferences are formed by that age. Like so much of just the music I grew up on, like just whatever your parents listened to until you were 10, that is your music, and that becomes kind of like your baseline.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
So I was reading a little bit about your compositional process, and it mentions something called the intentional collaboration approach.
Yeah.
I'm so curious about that. What is that?
Well, this is something we developed. The last record we did was called Hands.
Okay.
And it was a larger ensemble, and a lot of what we did was we started with a certain kind of clapping games, interactive clapping games, where you take like a certain motive, like chuck, 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 chuck,
right.
chuck, chuck, and the other one go chuck, 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 chuck. So these things start going back and forth, and when you humanize those and like assign each one to a group of people, the rhythm starts to feel less like a thing that one person is carrying, and more like two people carrying something together. You know what I mean? So your creative expression is a result of mutual effort in a very literal way, and if it's off balance, you can hear it. So we'd meditate on these rhythms for a while, and after doing that for truthfully months of rehearsal, we started to improvise around the same rhythmic motives, and then the compositions they came out very easily. So
that's where Hands come from. It's kind of literally from clapping hands.
That's right. That and the idea that it's collaborative. There's many hands on it.
Wow, double meaning. That's really cool. And I could hear that actually. I listened to a couple tracks from Hands, and you could really hear. I mean, not just the tracks where clapping is foregrounded, but that rhythmic underpinning is so strong.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of the philosophy of the song. So what we're forming now with the group is new areas of exploration.
Right.
It'll include kind of these rhythmic meditations, but also new areas that we're in the laboratory right now, incubating.
That's the most fun part, right?
Yeah. It's definitely the most gratifying part.
Yeah.
It can also be the most struggling part because you can give up on something with no outside feedback, and it's like a plant can die without any light.
No, you're right. When you're kind of in that chamber and they're not really getting any feedback back and forth, it's easy to be working on something forever and be like, is this good? Is this not? How can I even tell?
Yeah, quality vertigo. A friend of ours called that.
Like, I've only dabbled in music a little bit, but I was going back a while back, and I was listening to something I recorded like 10 years ago. And I don't know, do you ever go back and like listening to any of like the first recordings you guys made and just like imagine how did you change so much from those initial recordings?
Yeah, you hear a lot of different levels of growth. You hear like spiritual things. You hear your writing growth. You hear your technical growth. You hear your and sometimes it makes you cringe, and sometimes it makes you go, I'm worse than I used to be. You know what I mean? You're like, you're like, wow.
Hopefully that doesn't happen too often.
Or you like, you're always under the microscope when you're in the studio, and like you're making these records, and you're like, during that time you're really focused in on the little glitches that happen. But then like you listen back 5 years later, and there's no way. I mean, you'd have to like, So there's so many different. It's always educational to go back in time, and it triggers so much of your like. It's sort of like if you were to like go, go on a swing set at
Right.
your age now.
Right.
You would instantly fall back into the past, into a joyous moment. So that's sort of.
Is that something you
happens
tried?
on
Have you
things.
been on a swing set recently?
I haven't, but I mean, I can only imagine.
Is it
Oh,
one
God,
minute
I want to
studio?
get. I want to get
you know?
that rush. I want to feel that again because I remember that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like it's funny. We're constantly doing that with alcohol. You know what I mean? Like
That's. I mean, that's
you know,
kind of
it's like
true.
every
No,
night.
true.
You're like,
Always going back and trying to recapture that childlike, kind of feeling of
that
wonder. I
first
think.
glass of gin.
That first nip at Christmas.
But tying that back into your idea of just starting with clapping, man, there is
Yeah.
something so just innately human. Those just kind of those first ways you make music, and being able to start from that, I think, is
Yeah.
such an organic way to start to try to write songs and make music, and I think it totally comes through.
Yeah, there's so much music that seems to take these pieces of like chords, and then they put chords together in this way, and it's like, here's the chord, and here's the chord, and here's the chord. And it
Yes.
sounds like it really sounds mentally confined in its conception.
Or it's all so gridded out,
Yeah,
Pro Tools out. How do you feel
yeah.
about stuff like Pro Tools and the recording process?
It gives with one hand and it holds you back with another. There's some records that could never be made without that kind of thing, you know?
Right.
And then there's other records that would be a lot better if they just went to tape or some sort of platform where they weren't on a grid, I
Yeah.
mean, is it important to have a click track when you're talking about a beautiful country ballad? I don't think so.
Not necessarily, right?
No,
Yeah,
no.
it's the feeling that's got to
Yeah,
come
I
through.
mean, what's next? You're gonna have a click track to like a string quartet, a Haydn string quartet? It'd be ridiculous.
it's like
Right.
if
Somebody's
Santana,
probably done that.
played all their early records to click track. I mean, that wouldn't be that good.
He probably played his late records to click track, and it shows.
It makes the music sound stiffer. So
Sterile, sure.
it's a different relationship. But then again, some amazing records are made with clicks. It's almost another thing to worry about. Again,
Right.
it's like a gift, and it's also a slap.
I completely feel that. Now I know that you guys have done, that you've worked on tribute shows for Fela, and you've done worked with Antibalas. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Antibalas, yeah.
Antibalas, yeah, there you go. But I could hear a lot of actually that Afrobeat stuff in kind of the music you've worked on before. Is that a
Oh, yeah.
major influence on your sound?
I'd say so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
In fact, I think that's a major influence on a lot of American music.
Yeah, I think more
English
than
pop music.
more than a lot of people give it credit
Yeah,
for.
I mean, I remember, we met a lot of great bands when we were playing in Antibalas. Bands like Vampire Weekend.
Well, they
and,
have a ton of African influence in their sound.
Yeah. I think I heard some Foster the People or something that had something like that in it. But basically, like, what's amazing in Fela's music, it's more than just kind of the sound and cultural fabric of it, but there's the compositional properties that are so deep that you could have a lot of Fela influence
Right.
and not have your music come out sounding like
No,
Nigerian.
no, you listen to that
1970s.
stuff, and I mean, there are these grooves that can run on for a long time, but there's so much happening in like every second of that
Oh
music.
yeah, and the larger arcs of the form.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal the way he develops his pieces. But yeah, I would say it's very influential, particularly in how the rhythms interact together.
Yeah.
Fela's a master at that, and he's always kind of abiding by what they call a clave, which is an accent pattern in
Right.
the bar, and he has consistent tonics in the songs, so it'll be like one bass line, just like 8-beat pattern, typically going for the whole length of the song,
Right.
which is really exciting, which you can hear in like Talking Heads and LCD Sound System.
Oh sure,
and
on that
certain
one.
Michael Jackson records, and those are great records, aren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So does that approach at all translate to your live shows at all? Like, what are your live shows like?
What do you think?
They're fun.
I definitely noticed that your stuff is pretty strongly groove based, and some of the videos I saw, I think you're definitely all about getting the crowd to get up and dance.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it felt like last night, for example. I mean, we're in a house party
Right.
show and everyone's on the same level and we're just there, I think the live show is fun because they get to solo a lot and, we
There's
get to
open-
Right.
trade places.
Yeah,
and-
there's an improvisational aspect to the music
Right.
that
Right.
you can't get with like really structured form in itself. But when you have like when the overall idea is that like we can break down the forms on stage.
Yeah, where you do have a certain
And,
pattern you're playing
you
off
know,
of and can just start riffing and making new music
Yeah,
based off of
it's
that.
a little
Yeah.
bit more open. Like Stuart will conduct certain things, so that opens up a lot of space for, you know, drum breakdowns or vocal breakdowns, or I'll just take a risk, or he'll take a risk, and everyone has to be in tune with that risk, you know, which you don't get with like you can get that in Fela's music, you know what I mean?
Right,
you get
right.
That, you get that there's durations that are being conducted as well as form written, you know.
Yeah, there you go. Conducting the music, cheerleading the music. You got a lot of roles, man.
Yeah, well, and the duration thing is a big deal. So when we're playing live, there's certain sections that are as long as they are. Meaning we're breathing, we're feeling it together, we're feeding off the crowd, and that's how long it's going to be. And then we move on. So that's one way we take a risk. We also, the improvisational solos we do. And when one person is improvising, Sam is, he's improvising like crazy.
Yeah.
Andrea's yelling things and improvising. The whole moment, we become possessed by it. And so in an ideal situation, we are submitting to like a larger ecstatic feeling. And also within the compositions, within the parts we're supposed to play, we often take risks. Eric will change a bass line and not tell anyone. and like oftentimes it's genius. And
Right.
then sometimes, you know, you change a part or a saxophone idea or something, and there's a slip, there's a little error, but it's the sort of error that inspires you.
Right,
It's
they're
like a fumble.
happy
or
accidents,
something.
you know.
Yeah. And it also lets you know this is really happening. If somebody's not striving to mentally kind of keep the experience together as they're playing, then it's a less exciting live
You do see a
performance,
lot
I
of
think.
shows where there's so many, you know, backing tracks and guitar text and stuff
Ah.
just to replicate the experience of the record.
Yeah.
At that point, why even go to a show? Why not just, you know, put somebody's laptop, hook it into the speaker system, and just not do anything?
We were watching the Led Zeppelin footage
Oh,
a few
man.
days ago, and we were like, man, we are rehearsing the wrong way. We just got to go out there and feel it, you know? We
Yeah.
are killing ourselves trying to be steady and precise here, and it's like...
Oh, there's a listening audience that I feel like there's a scene, especially on Royal Potato Family, they have a great sort of collective of artists that really cater to people that want to listen to something that's just not that it's always a little different. It's not going
Yeah.
to be the same all the time, and it's going to be coming from a deeper place than like audiences that might be accepting of a laptop on stage with just a couple of people helping
Right.
them out. You know
Right.
what I mean? Which you know what I mean? So there is a small audience that's always independent, seems like, but there are artists coming out now that are like, that are bigger and like Reggie Watts and people like that are
Reggie
like,
Watts is amazing, man.
they
the live
blur
living
the
stuff he
line
does,
between
yeah.
like the laptop guy and then like the real live improviser.
Yeah, because
you know what I mean?
it's not like you can't do performance with a laptop. It's just that a
Right.
lot of guys aren't doing that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
not using the tool that way.
it's
Right,
like if you see
right.
a certain kind of tattoo on somebody, you might judge them for it. You know what I mean?
For
And that's
sure.
sort of the laptop for me when I look at it on stage.
So you guys brought up Zeppelin. I'm curious, what other what music are you guys listening to right now? Either older stuff or if there's anything new that's really inspiring you.
Miles Davis.
Miles Davis, man.
Yeah.
Legend. You
Can
can't
we
go
do
wrong
can
with
we do
that.
a shout out. Do a shout out to Owen Pallett. Listen to
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
I've listened to a little bit. Whichever was the record he put out a few years ago is still Heartland. Oh my God, I love that
So
record.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's worked with Arcade Fire a bunch too. You worked with Arcade Fire?
Yeah,
Did you?
I was on a tour bus with Owen for a few months.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got to know him and his music. It's amazing stuff.
Why were you on that tour bus?
I was playing saxophone with the Arcade Fire for the last tour.
Wow.
Don't downplay that. I mean, that's,
Yeah, do not downplay that at all.
I was on the bus carrying bags
I
around.
was on the bus, making sure the ice was cold.
Lurking.
That's cool. But I love Owen Pallett's record because he is such a master of composition and
Oh,
just
yeah.
being able to put those sounds together.
Oh,
And I
man,
also loved the articles he was writing for Slate last year, kind of breaking apart pop songs. I don't know if
Yeah.
you read any of those.
No, he read
Yeah.
them to me before he submitted them. Like he would be like, "What do you guys think of this?" And I'm like, "Man,
Yeah.
Owen's a deep thinker."
I just want to read his weekly column about pop music.
Yeah, he's an amazing conversationalist
Yeah.
and a deep thinker and a consummate artist. He's an amazing dude.
Completely.
So yeah, we listen to him.
So I've noticed that your new songs too also are, I think, more than your older music, playing a little bit with pop structures and maybe bigger choruses. Do you guys have like kind of more pop ambitions? Do you guys want to have a song on the radio?
Yeah.
Yes. I guess maybe that's a crazy question.
No, on the right radio station.
On the right radio station.
We
sure.
are on Sirius Radio.
That's right. We got to give it up to Sirius
Yeah,
XM.
jam on.
And Ari
definitely.
Fink, our friend at Sirius.
Awesome.
He continually plays our music and gives us a chance. Yeah, I think we do have ambitions of being on the radio with our music, but we want to do it in a way that I think mirrors what we had when we were coming up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when the music on the radio wasn't necessarily about the same shallow emotional situations.
Right.
Well, just the word pop can be taken in so many different ways, but there's so much pop music that's really deep and really strange and unique, and has been as successful as anything.
Oh,
so
pop! No, pop is not a bad word to me in any. Pop,
Yeah.
Most of the music I listen to is pop. Pop is great.
pop is great.
Yeah.
It's not pop until it's pop, right?
It's kind of tautological, but sure, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So okay, so we got to wrap things up soon, but I do want to ask you guys if any listeners out there are on the West Coast and want to see you guys play, where are there any other venues you guys are going to soon? Where can people see you?
Tonight we're gonna be in LA at
Great.
the Bootleg Theater. Is it gonna air tonight?
This will be up tonight. Yeah.
All right.
Hopefully before 9 o'clock. That's our plan.
yeah, we play at 9 o'clock. And tomorrow night we're gonna be at the Independent in
Okay.
San Francisco.
Great.
And then this Tuesday night we're gonna be at City Winery in Napa. And then this Friday night we're gonna be at the Mississippi Studios in Portland, Oregon. And then the following night we're gonna be at Nectar's Lounge in Seattle, Washington. And then the following day we are driving from Seattle all the way back to Oakland.
That's great. So if people want to check out like that schedule, where should they go? It's like a website they can go to.
Superhumanhappiness.com.
Pretty easy to remember. There you go, superhumanhappiness.com. Finally, okay, and if people want to buy your music, like what's the best place they could go to buy your music?
RoyalPotatoFamily.com.
RoyalPotatoFamily.com, that's what
That's
you
our
recommend?
record label, and
Great.
we got to give a shout out to our manager who also runs the label, Kevin Calabro.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great, guys. Guys, it's been so great to be able to talk to you and get to know you guys and your music a little bit. Please check out the new single Super 8, which you could find. Noisy on Vice just wrote a great piece about it. You can check out their old record, Hands. Fantastic stuff. And check them out on tour. So thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
That's awesome.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.